Let's get on to some topics that I'm sure people are like, tell me how to get skinny. Tell me how to get muscles. Those basic tell me how. So, how do you start out a new client that's trying to lose weight?
Good question. So during our initial consultation, normally before, I ask that client to bring me a 3-day food log. A lot of trainers will throw a meal plan at you. Meal plans fail probably 90% of the time because most people, especially here in the South, our diets are garbage. So if you're eating a garbage diet and then I say, all right, Monday, you now eat this perfect diet, I'm setting you up to fail. So what I do is I have my clients bring a 3-day food log so that I know where they are currently. I know their current intake. I go as far as to put it into a total calorie count. I break it down into macros, protein, carbs, and fat, and just really see where they are because just like with their workouts in the gym, I have to meet them where they are. I can't have any expectations that they're on a certain level physically or nutritionally. So that 3-day food log kind of gives me a baseline of where they are. I call that phase one. I take that 3-day food log based on what I see in it and I make tweaks and adjustments to their diet. I call it phase two. That runs for 30 days. After 30 days, they're going to see some change in their body. They come back to, they're pumped. I give them phase three where I pull a little bit harder. And because of the results they saw in the first 30 days, I typically get more out of them in phase three. Phase two, small changes, but looking to lose weight, it's a kind of a tough question because you want to just say put them in a caloric deficit, which means that you eat less calories than you burn. But there's a flip side to that because a very common issue that I see that I really didn't recognize until I started asking for the food logs are a lot of times females are notorious undereaters. And when I say undereaters, they're living on 5, 6, 700 calories a day. With that particular client, I would reverse diet them out of that severe caloric deficit that they're in because they're basically, they put their body in a starvation mode. Your brain wants to survive. So if your TDE, your total daily expenditure, the calories that it takes you to go from midnight one day to midnight the next, if your TDE is 2,500 calories and you're only eating 600 calories, your body's not going to burn fat. Your body is actually going to catabolize muscle or fuel itself off of muscle and store fat. So those are the tough clients because I actually have to convince them to lose more. You're going to have to eat more. And that's like pulling teeth. Sometimes I'll have a client that's overeating, their sugar intake is too high, they're not drinking enough water. Generally, the very best thing you can do that costs no money and it's very little effort is intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is like almost always included in phase two. When I give somebody phase two, I almost always ask for them to intermittent fast, assuming that they can get their minimum amount of calories in that 8-hour feed window. Intermittent fasting typically is done on a 16-8 schedule, 16-hour fast. Don't freak out, you're asleep for most of that time. 16-hour fast, 8-hour feed. People typically do 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., but you can float it either way, as long as you stick to those 8 hours. But the only way I put that on clients is if they're getting in that minimum amount of calories.
I've also heard people when you're talking about, you're in starvation mode and we've kind of killed our metabolism from the
Right.
way we eat and whatnot. I have in the past heard where people say you should eat every hour or so something small so that it beefs your metabolism up and jump starts it again. Do you find truth in that or is that just totally false?
I've heard that too. I have just an opinion here. Now, this is
Okay.
my opinion. I think that your body does the same amount of work processing one big meal as it does processing 8 small meals. I don't think there's a difference. Eating the small meals throughout the day may keep you full, maybe. I don't know. But I don't really think that's a huge deal. Intermittent fasting is really the single best thing anybody can do to lose body fat because when you wake up in the morning, say you wake up at 6 a.m. and you're fasted until 10 a.m., when you break that fast, your body is fueling itself off straight body fat. But we were all taught breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So the first thing people do is they wake up and they eat. So now your body's processing the food you ate that morning and it's fueling your morning on the food that you ate. So I like to be fasted until about 10 or 11 a.m., then break that fast. And the earlier you can cut off your eating in the evening, the better. 6, 7, you don't want to eat and go lay down, especially a carb heavy meal.
Wow. Let's flip over to the gaining muscle real quick. And since you mentioned carb, I'll jump with this question. So I've heard, hey, leg days tomorrow, let's load up on carbs.
Carb
Why
up.
is that?
I do think that's beneficial. People do it before big races, before big lift days. I think it just really boosts your glycogen levels. But yeah, I think that is beneficial. I think that people get kind of carried away with that too and use it as an excuse to eat a big bowl of pasta also. I don't
Yeah.
carb load.
So I'm wanting to gain muscle mass. What is my basics for learning how to gain or obtaining muscle mass?
So the typical person can absorb between 40 to 60 grams of protein per sitting based on body composition. So like a bigger dude can probably digest grams, a smaller lady may be closer to the 40 side. But if you're trying to gain muscle, I would recommend eating at least your body weight in grams of protein, really 1.5 times your body weight in grams of protein, if possible. You're also going to need to be eating carbs to grow muscle. So not just protein, eat carbs, protein, and then moderate fats.
All right. So give me layman terms of grams and all of this, without me having to do the math. What is something simple I can walk into the grocery store, know if I grab these ingredients and I munch on these all week, I'm either going to, and most likely do both at the same time, I'm going to lose fat and I'm going to gain muscle as long as I've got weightlifting involved with it.
Catch it, kill it, grow it. Grab you a rotisserie chicken. You can eat on that for a couple days. Grab big salad mixes. Good carbs come from rices, sweet potatoes. I don't have a problem with white or red potatoes. Those are great carbs. Your good fats will come from seeds, oils, nuts, avocados, things like that are good sources of fat. Eggs are awesome. If you're having to watch your fat, take out the yolk. All of the fat in an egg is inside the yolk, and nearly all the protein is in the white. You shake your head. You didn't know that.
Dude, I just eat.
Yeah. So there's 6 grams of protein in an egg. 5 of it's in the white, and I think there's 5 or 6 grams of fat also, and that's all in the yolk. Which men need that yolk for our cholesterol and testosterone levels.